Hi everybody, I'm back with you. Sorry for the technical difficulties. I was having a bit of technical difficulties getting my computer to respond to me. Um, Welcome to our show, everybody. This is called Your Life, Your Voice, and this is our first episode. And my name is Samson, and here over here is Julie, who's my co-host, and um so I'm gonna talk a bit about myself and how I got into advocacy and how that journey started for me. My journey started out me, wanting to become an advocate because I personally saw a lot of people, with a disability not being able to have a voice or not being able to, be confident around themselves in order to make choices and decisions for themselves. And I started I started out um developing my passion through a course that I did at school, Certificate 4 in Disability. That course was mainly around teaching you how to become a support worker. So someone who helps people with a disability support them live their day-to-day life. And there was a segment in advocacy. Obviously, me knowing that I couldn't be a support worker because of not necessarily because of my disability, but I wouldn't be able to provide um, people with a disability that those physical supports that they needed. So it would limit my work capacity in terms of me going down that path. And so I ended up finding out that I liked the unit called advocacy. And then I ended up talking to my teachers, and then I ended up doing placement at an organization called Valid, which is a disability advocacy organization. That happened in 2016, and then I ended up, doing that, and then I had that, and then that happened, and we ended up, all things led to that, and then I ended up going and doing, diploma of community services a year or two later, and then, that's how my advocacy journey started. Now I've worked with great organizations such as NDS, which is a national disability services team around, zero tolerance to abuse, around there was a project called Project Able where we'd go around to schools talking to students about the community services sector and the disability sector. To also share a bit about life story about what it was like for us having a disability um, growing up, and what are some of the challenges we faced. So this kind of um, these workshops would targeted purely at, you know, years 10 to 11 students. So people who were, leaving just about on the um, preface of leaving school, and, all of that. And so that's how my journey started. And that's how I ended up here today. Yeah, Julie, go ahead. Your
Hi,
turn.
hi everyone. My name is Julie, and I'm a self advocate. And my self advocacy journey started a very long time ago. I'm from a cold background, also known as an ethnic background. Cold is just the technical world that the professionals use. And anyway, so my journey started a long time ago. I was 5 years old, starting school, and I had lots of insight even as a 5 year old child. And I noticed my parents struggled a lot with language difficulties, understanding the educational system, and something really might have happened at school. And my mother was called in, and kids are kids, things happen. And I was um, a little bit sort of like taken back by my mother's communication issues. And I decided that ripe old age of 5 was that whatever happens in my life, I have to deal with my own issues because my parents are very busy people and also their language skills were very difficult. So I accepted that. So I became a self advocate from the age of 5. And I continued that journey through my path in life, through different professionals telling me that I was not good enough, not worthy enough, which a lot of people with health issues, which I identify as having health issues. I have an acquired brain injury at the age of 6 months, and it did affect my life. But more, it affected my life more. The society's issues more affected my life than what my acquired brain injury affected my life. So I had to learn to deal with professionals and all sorts of people and basically live my life how I saw fit. I have a really, really proactive attitude in dealing with my life, and the tools that I use is definitely self advocacy. And at times I do need advocates in my life when I was seriously ill in hospital and I couldn't speak, but the two work together. So they've got the same sort of ideas. But self advocacy is sort of like speaking up for yourself, having the courage to say no, and speaking up for yourself.
Okay. Um, that's a very interesting story, Julie. That's a good one.
Thank
Um,
you.
yeah. So what are some other like how was your how was how was how was your schooling? What was that like?
My schooling, I went to mainstream schools, so both public, primary, and secondary. And school was challenging, not the learning side of it. I knew my strengths, so I just focused on my strengths. And I'm more of a social scientist, which means I like lots of reading and that sort of side. I'm not much of a math science person. So I focused on what I could do, what I was good at, and from the teaching side of life, with my experiences, my prep teacher, or my prep principal, she got it right, and all the rest got it wrong. So what she told my parents was, Julie's brain is just as good, if not better, than anyone else's in her year level, but her physical abilities to cope are a little bit on the slow side. So it was decided. The advice was that I do prep twice to give my body time to catch up to the other students. And the advice was if if I didn't, well, if I wasn't given the opportunity down the road, it would cause more of an issue. And at the early stage of education, I wouldn't know the difference. So that was a good call. But later on in my education, um, there were some like other professionals who gave who gave my parents bad advice. And I was 15 at that time, and I was still like treated like I wasn't in the room, which I'm sure people with health issues, people with disabilities, can identify with that. So I'm speaking about you, not to you. So finally, I was asked, "What do you want to do with your life, Julie?" And I told them what I wanted to do. I said, I don't want to go to university, but I plan to go to TAFE after year 11." Back in the 80s, year 11 was quite a good standing in education. And so I went to year 11, I went to TAFE, I became a computer, I got my computer operator certificate, Like then I started working in the public service. So it was sort of like a bit like when I was in those interviews with the professionals, I was thinking, what are you talking about? You know, the data does not support my results in the doesn't support what you're saying. So I sort of like had to sort of like always had to struggle and fight to reach my full potential, and you know I keep on doing that. I keep on trying to be a better version of me. So that's all people could really do, to be the best version of themselves every day, and to improve on that version every day of your life.
Okay. V- Very inspirational story. Um, yeah. Um, all right. I guess the I guess the real reason why we started this YouTube channel was to give people, you know, a voice essentially for people who may feel, you know, that they don't feel like they're heard, or you know, people from minority and cold backgrounds, to give them a voice as well, and just to be able to deliver the information in, you know, different ways, and also you know, helping them talk about the issues that they want to talk about, and being able to make them feel like they're a part of a community, you know. And that's largely that's largely you know, why we started this YouTube channel, you know.
Yes. So another reason why we started the channel is that we want this channel to be community based. So we want your ideas about what do you want to learn about. So yeah, so we would like participation and your ideas.
Yeah.
So would you like to speak about yeah the project vision and so on? Would you like to speak about that? Because you and another colleague of yours, you were the ideas guys. So
Yeah.
we pitched the idea to our manager. So would you like to speak a bit about the project vision?
Well, the idea of the project vision was for, obviously, for the channel to be community driven, like be driven by you guys, as well as, you know, if you guys support us, you know, if the community supports us financially as well, um, we'd be able to give back to the um disability community, and help out in that way, and hopefully, even if it's a small margin, just help change somebody's way of life, you know.
And is it also about consumers to become more independent?
Of course, yeah. It's also about consumers being independent and learning how to be the drivers of their own life, you know. Learning how to take control and lead their life in the ways that they want. And also, you know, being able to give give themselves you know, a voice in so to speak. And you know, it's just about that. Yeah.
So you talked about a little bit about the funding vision, Samson. So part of what we're trying to achieve in this funding vision, as we all know in life, everything's based on funding, and so part of our vision is to try and make the actual YouTube channel self-funding. So one of the ideas is to get shares and likes on YouTube, and down the road, we're hoping that um, the shares and the likings will become our way to fund the types of things that people with disabilities need funding. And this could be anything. It could be equipment. It could be an aspiration. It could be anything. Uh, it could be a business wanting to make the more accessibility issues, addressing accessibility issues. In general, what we're trying to achieve largely is a social model of disability, which is basically changing the mindset of society and governments. Now, I do believe that this is possible with the right mindset. So, would you like to talk a little bit more about the social model of disability? So, Todd, how you think, what you think. Can you just talk a little bit more about it?
Well, in my opinion, it's just um, uh, changing the social model, like being able to allow people to understand what the social model means. Just about educating people with in the community about um, the disability sector and what that means, and also like being able to um, allow us to share, our stories with our stories, and show people that people with a disability have have dreams and aspirations, and they're just as normal as anybody else. It's just about changing people's perspective around disability and what that means and what that looks like.
Okay, so I'm also doing the certificate for disability. So I'm drawing about upon some of my dialogue. So imagine an alternative world where everyone in disabilities is in a wheelchair. So the actual community is designed around people with disabilities, and then like able people come into this society, and they're hitting their heads on doorways, and all sorts of things are happening because the society was designed around the needs of people with disabilities in wheelchairs. Now if we sort of like draw on that experience and design a society where we are all inclusive. So having like changing the mindset is a challenging thing. But if we look at it from a social model, and every time we have like some sort of building code or something along those lines, we can sort of like draw on that example and look at accessibility for everyone, so that no one is excluded, and and life is more fair and freer. And so if we sort of like have that attitude and pitch that attitude to governments, well, that's my ultimate dream.
Yep. So, Julie, in your opinion, what or in what you know about self advocacy, can you define what that means for everybody?
Um, so I don't really understand your question, Susan. Can you rephrase it somehow?
Um, I just mean, in your opinion, what does self-advocacy mean and look like to you?
Okay, so at this stage, did we want to do like a bit of a formal definition? So what do you think? And then we can have a chat about that. So
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
I'll just do a screen share with everyone. Okay, so this is a formal definition, and this resource can be found on a website. It's a website designed by the Self Advocacy Resource Unit, which is known as SARU, and all this information can be found on that actual website. is referenced in this slide. So self-advocacy groups are run by people with disabilities who have, sorry, I've got a bit of a, I've got a bit of a issue with my screen. Okay, I've moved sensor. I've moved you down the screen. So who have joined together to support each other and to have voices heard. We work together to make sure we have the same rights, choices, and opportunities as everyone else in the community. Self-advocacy groups are about speaking about our rights. Move me down a bit. Speaking about our rights, having a say about the services that we want and need, working together to make change happen, helping each other, standing up for others, meeting new people, strength in numbers, working with government, services and community, learning new skills, networking with groups. And the self-advocacy movement is a civil rights movement for people with disabilities. And the sources are this website, who has lots of great information, and you can, in your own time, I'd encourage people to have a look at that website, voicestogether.com.au. That's a definition of self-advocacy. Now, in life, both Samson and I have talked about our experiences of self-advocacy. Pardon me. So yes, another experience I had, which I'd like to share with everyone, is basically, you know, with the NDIS philosophy, it's all about self-advocacy, really, reaching your dreams and aspirations. Sure, personal care is part of that plan, but really it's more than that. So there's been a change in the way the disability sector sees people with disabilities because of the NDIS. Anyway, having said that, what I really have found in my life was that through my experiences, I learned, and I knew this from the word go, that you are the expert in your life. You are. So this is a bit of a shift for services, for people who are sort of have trouble accepting others who may be a bit different, who may look different, sound different, communicate in different ways. But you are the expert in your lives. And I found this out really, really early in my life. And through my life experiences, my cultural background was to accept the opinion of your elders, accept the opinions of professionals, accept without questioning. And being the person I was, and knowing that this is false, all these expert opinion, not all the time, not all the time, but a lot of the time, my experiences, experts really did not have an idea of what was happening. My family had limited sort of like experience in the medical profession. They struggled with English. So I had to support myself in the best way I knew how. And so we go to a specialist for an issue, and like I get comments like, oh, it's in her head, and I think it's like, what are you talking about? Being a child, yeah, and like I used to say to my mother, I used to say to her, those doctors are idiots, and excuse my language. I'm actually being quite quite polite in my language, but these professionals are idiots. They have no idea. I said to her, when I get older, I'll have to work out my own issues. And that was the journey I had to face. And throughout life, I've been quite ill in hospital. And people have told me you're gonna have to stay in bed for the rest of your life. At that time, I was quite ill, and I could hardly speak. I had a very serious episode. They could have been avoided. That's another story. Could have been avoided, but it wasn't avoided because I wasn't taken seriously enough by the medical profession. That seems to be the story of my life. So I was well supported by my medical advocate and friends and family, and I would like have they people can't be around in your life all the time. So 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 I had to become my best advocate. They were there to support and encourage and step in if things went horribly wrong, which is actually what happened in this instance. So I basically would come have a doctor's visit in the morning, still very ill, nothing being done about 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 my medical issues. And then the head doctor said to me, you don't have to stay in bed for the rest of your life. And I looked her in the eye, and I had little energy. I would say, no, I'm not. Now, at that time, I had septicemia, which is a poisoning of the blood, which takes quite a long time to gain your strength and energy. But it was important, that I stand up and take a stand. And then, the actual team would have little meetings about me and encouraging me to go home. At that time in my life, my blood pressure was dropping. I live alone. Um, I have support of my friends, but people can't be in your life 24 hours. So, what I basically said to them, until this blood pressure issues is resolved, I'm not going anywhere. But they'd had little private meetings between themselves, and I stood firm. My advocate stood firm, and we said to them, "We are not. She's not going anywhere until this blood pressure issue is resolved." So you have to take a stand. You have to really be strong and say, no, it's not good enough. Because at the end of the day, um, they are a service. Even though it's a public service, they are there to make you well and better. And and it, I would not be around many times over in my life if I did not stand up and say, no, this is not good enough. And part of the NDIS philosophy is this: if you're not happy with your service, you have the right to say this is not good enough. And you are a customer. Even though I have a bit of issue with that term coming from a health profession, but you are a customer. So and there's a shift from being a client to a customer. So you are effectively buying a service. So with your NDIS package, that's what you're doing. And guess what? You have all the power. And if you're not happy with your service, I encourage you to talk about your issues with your provider, and then there are steps within the NDIS to address this. So, Samson, would you like to talk a little bit more about that?
Yep. Um, I've had, a lot of experiences with organizations where I haven't been, particularly happy with the service organization. And um, I was having some issues. It didn't work out too well for that organization because I ended up leaving after they had, you know, after I had given them countless number of phone calls, after I had ended up, you know, complaining about several times about what this particular organization was doing. I had complained about several times, and they just weren't getting the message about how unhappy I was, and that was purely due to people, um, you know, largely in this sector who come from, I'm not gonna say coming from a, you know, an ethnic background is a bad thing or anything like that, but at the same time, you still need to be able to speak, a certain amount of English so that so I or anyone else can communicate with you, because English is the main language spoken here in Australia. And, one of those issues was purely that, the lack of communication. And because I was a very, well-spoken individual, I could tell you how to support me. I could tell you how I like things to be done, and how I'd like to be looked after, and what you need to do. And, if you're not able to understand English to that degree where you can follow simple instructions, maybe some simple instructions would be like, okay, put the brakes on the chair so that it doesn't roll away. I mean, if you can't follow those simple instructions, and you shouldn't, in my opinion, you shouldn't be working um, with that particular organization, because, or with any disability service organization, because you don't really know what environment you're going to be walking into, because is you know English is a safety net for everybody, because generally people in Australia, that's the main spoken language. And I had that issue with the service provider, and I kept saying to them, look, I'm having trouble communicating with this particular worker, and things aren't going too well. um can you please change them? And then I ended up, because after several attempts of complaining, I ended up, changing service providers, because I was unhappy with it. But the thing was, I gave them a lot of, you know, uh, chances to improve, and to rectify the situation, and to do better. And I've even had a lot of people from, organizations tell me that I'm too difficult to, you know, look after in terms of my personal care needs. And I didn't find that overly too, like, that just didn't sit well with me. And so those were some of the challenges I've found in terms of service provision, and how I went about complaining to the service organization. And yet they still didn't rectify. In my opinion, I still feel like they didn't rectify the problem or try to fix it. And now this is a great segue. Maybe Julie, you could bring up the um, NDIS Service Commission's website, so we can show people what number to call if they feel like complaining to the, just letting them know that they've got that option, as that they can go to us, the NDIS Commission, to complain about um, different services or issues that they have with a particular provider or service.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll see if I can find it. Safeguards and Commission, is that what you're after? Safeguards and
Uh,
Commission.
uh, and not the Safeguarding Commission. Although that's a very good resource for everyone to have a look at. Just look at the NDIS Commission.
Shall I bring that up? I'll bring that up. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, let's have a look at that. Okay. So yes, so we're just flying from the seat of our pants today, because this is our first session. So we didn't discuss this, but it's come up in conversation, and this is how we run things with D&D. Yeah, things come up and we deal with it on the spot. Yeah, so we have the NDIS has a Quality and Safeguards Commission, and there's This is the orientation program. So I'll just see if I can find. Now this is a program that every support worker, I don't know exactly where it's from, have to complete this course, and it's a course that people have to do. I've done it through my certificate for disability, and it's a great way to improve your knowledge in supporting people with disabilities. So I'm just trying to navigate my way around this menu. There's okay, search NDIS hotline. So, NDIS. Okay, so I'm typing in NDIS hotline. What else is it known for? Citizen? I'm thinking no results found. NDIS. Okay, I can't find it, so sorry. How about we move on a little bit more? So there's another topic that we were thinking of. So your life, your voice. So we talked about sort of like we talked about isolation a little bit, I think, earlier on. So your life, your voice was sort of like came out of this the necessity of people being isolated because of COVID-19. Now we're sort of like we're thinking about having a conversation around people with disabilities and are generally isolated because of the nature of their disability. So I have a case, a personal case, where quite a few years ago, 3 years in a row at winter time, I've been stuck in bed for 3 months during winter time. So you know, and I then it took me a month to recover and become more coordinated, because when I'm in bed, you know, you don't get that stimulation to your muscles, and you know, my brain is doing flip flops. So anyway, so it takes me an average of say 3 months to sort of like try and recover. So, and that's actually a mild case. I'm able-bodied, so you know, people in wheelchairs who have other issues, you know, they would experience, you know, isolation far more than an able-bodied person, I'd imagine. So you know, and they've got all sorts of issues to deal with, including breakdowns of equipment, apart from their complex needs. So with the COVID-19, I suppose it's a bit like that example I gave with the you know, with the social model of disability. So but now that the whole world is experiencing isolation, it's sort of like I tend to have this attitude: walk a mile in someone's moccasins, yeah, to find out what life is really like. And now we have like the world basically in isolation. So and they're screaming and they're yelling and they're carrying on. But you know, people with complex health issues and you know, difficulties have actually lived this life for a very long time. So, what's your experience, Sanson, on these issues?
Um, in I just I've got the website up if you want to put it up now. I've sent you the link to the website. So if people want to complain about their services and all that, um, you can you can it's in the chat. It's in the chat
All right.
section
Well,
in Zoom.
I will stop share. Would you like to, for the sake of my sanity, would you like to share that with people? Okay, it's on the chat, the NDIS Commission.gov.au. So would you like to share
So
that?
this is the website that you can, you know, ring this number if you have any, complaints about a particular service or you're not happy with the service and that you've already, you've already spoken to the service provider. You've already had some, you know, services around that and you've already had someone talk to you about the stuff they're doing. If they haven't within themselves as an organization, if they haven't um you know changed um to to support your needs, then these are the guys you go and complain to.
And when you complain, you are basically trying to make life better for others. So,
Exactly.
pardon me. So don't see it as a negative thing. What I've found with my
Yeah.
work with DD, and I do some work a lot in the cold environment with parents with children with disabilities, and it's from a very it's for parents. So what I've found in cold communities is that they're very concerned about complaining. So so because in their culture in their country, um, some of these people come from a communist type of countries. They they don't complain. They just suck it up, princess. Because there are sometimes there are consequences to their complaining, to them complaining. So what I try to do with the group is to encourage people to take a stand and to educate them about um, the Australian system. The Australian system is different to other systems, so they are slowly accepting this, but it's a very long process. So when you are complaining, think of it as a way to improve society for those who have difficulties. So, and that's a good thing. And at the end of the day, you've done something positive for yourself and others. Would you like to elaborate at all, Samson, on that?
No, I think you pretty much covered it. You pretty much said what I was gonna say in regards to that. Yeah.
Okay, so I think we're coming to the end of our YouTube live stream. So we'd like to take the opportunity to thank all the funding bodies, Moreland City Council, D&D, Diversity and Disability, that auspiced by the Migrant Resource Centre. Thank our manager, Krishna Sorian, who is a guy that lives his life on his own terms. So he's on many committees and boards, and he's taken lots of stands to make life better for people with disabilities who lack the ability or the confidence to speak up. Would you like to add anything, Samson?
Yeah. and you know, if you guys have any questions or things that you need help with in regards to whatever, you know, anything in regards to the NDIS and stuff like that, or anything of that nature, you know, we'll try to bring people in and interview them and ask them the questions that you guys send through to us. So don't forget to, you know, leave a comment and just subscribe and let us know what your questions are, and we'll do our best to either answer them directly to you, or answer them through our Q&A sessions with the people that we invite. So remember, you guys are in control of what happens with this show. Yeah.
So, how do they get in contact with us, Sansa?
Um you our uh we've got an email called DND Your Life Your Voice, your life your choice,
Your
your
life,
life
your
your
voice.
yeah, your life your voice at gmail.com. You can contact us on there, or you can, you know, you can leave a comment with your email in the comment section, or with anything like that. You can leave all of that there, and we'll do our best to address your concerns and issues.
So, we would love your suggestions for guest speakers or issues that you are having difficulty navigating. And like Samson said, we'll do the research and try and find the guest speaker to address these issues. So I suppose this is the end of our live stream. But thank you all for participating, and of course you can catch us on demand. D&D, your life, your voice, and looking forward to hearing from everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.